Hey, Loco football fans, getting a little bit of a late start, but we are live here on Loco Pigskin Live. We've got Dylan Price joining me as well as Javon Livingston from Buford Zone, and Wes Kerr will be popping on soon. I'm sure he's getting his stuff organized, just getting back from the long trip back from Ladies Island, where you guys watched Buford advance with a hard fought and very entertaining. I look forward to watching the rebroadcast on the YouTube channel, Javon, because I was out at Estill. But a hard fought win for Beaver, 31-21 final, right, guys, over Gilbert. Terrific
Yeah,
win. On to the next one. Unfortunately, Estill's run ends here. They lose 34-16 to cross, or 36-14, excuse me, to cross. Was closer than the score, really. I mean, they fought and stayed in it until the end. But just trying to make a play at the end and had one go the other way. And it was a hard fought game. Great season for them. Got outplayed tonight, though. Cross was very impressive, and we'll talk a little bit more about them later. But while we've got you guys one of you was broadcasting the game, calling it, and the other one was watching the broadcast. So you can give us a lot of insight, and then Wes will come in with a little more color for us later. But Buford, what an effort. I mean, they were down 21-17, right? And turned on the Jets, the Colton Ferries kickoff return ridiculousness part whatever we're on now, turn the tide, and then they just dominated from that point on. So tell us about the game and what was the key for the Eagles.
yeah. For me, I think like this was the most evenly matched team I've seen in terms of just play style. They both were running shotgun two back systems. Both safeties were wearing number 10, making all the tackles. Um, and it was an evenly matched game. They were doing some of the game. They were scoring after each other. Then they were whenever one team wasn't able to advance the first down, the same thing. But I think the turning point of this game is both teams were doing pooch kicks on the kickoffs after they score, and Gilbert scores, and instead of doing another pooch kick, they actually kick it deep. And of all people, the worst decision ever to kick it to Colton Fairs, and he takes it to the house, refusing to go down. And I think that was the turning point in the game. I think if there was any one play that would have changed the tide of this game and made it even would have caused Gilbert to win or made it a close game, it would have been that decision to kick the ball to Colton Bears the third quarter. That was a terrible decision. Everybody in the stands was like, even Buford High fans were like, "Why would you do that?"
Oh no, baby, what is you doing?
Yeah,
when
that
when
was just
they
terrible.
when
Well,
they
you
kicked
can't
it.
kick it to either side because it's Fields on the
Yeah,
other side.
when they kicked it to Colton, me and Wes were on the sideline, and I heard somebody behind us said, to the house, he's gone," and that's what happened. I mean, Colton got wrapped up. I think he broke like at least 4 tackles on that play. He got wrapped up once really good, and I was like, oh man, he's down. And then I see him bust out, and I was like, oh my word. So that kid, that kid's got a lot of explosiveness, and he just plays with no quit at all. Awesome to see him play
I don't know
right
how
here.
Dylan pulled this highlight while he was
Yeah,
at
he
the
runs
game
into
and
his
sent it
own
to
man
me.
right here.
Yeah.
Because
He runs
I
into his.
remember I was mad because I didn't record that, and I was like, Buford Zone. So I went and screen recorded as fast as I could and sent it to you.
That's
Yeah,
ridiculousness. We
but
watched that
yeah,
on the sideline at the Essel game. Me and Sam Williams, and got a kick out of that. We're like, how could they not tackle him? Like
I know.
they
it's
had
not
him wrapped
happening.
up.
I know, and
Yeah.
we've seen it time and again. Like he's just a dog, man. He is not going down without a fight, and he definitely lifted him up with a couple of plays last week, and he lifted him up again this week with that huge play. What happened after that? Did they just kind of dominate the game after that? Get that just give them the wind in their sails, or was it still a pretty good fight?
Well,
Uh,
I mean, Gilbert got the ball back right after that, and I think it was around. I want to say three. They had the ball with around 3 minutes left on the 50-yard line, so Gilbert had
Okay.
a chance to win, and it was a little bit of nail biting because the quarterback he threw a good ball. Definitely they stuck to the run tonight. They really ran it well. They ran a lot of power and out of the gun two back. But he threw a good ball, and it just came down to, once again, Colton Ferry's another interception, and that kind of sealed the deal right there. So that was when the game was 24-21. Beaufort had the ball with like 2 minutes and 25 seconds, and then Fields broke a run. That's really where the game ended. So, you looking back at it, you're right. They should have never kicked it to Colton. It might have been a different game if that kickoff return never really would have happened. You said it perfectly. Gilbert, if Gilbert and Beaufort played 10 times, they split 50-50. That was the most evenly matched two teams I've ever seen, really. Gilbert did a really good job of running the ball. They played good on defense. Casey, he had a great game. But it really opened up a lot of lanes for Samari. He really had that game, as a runner. He just ran it really well. And also, Caleb Mulmer ran the ball really well, too. So, Beaufort went to the two-back kind of early. Lyman said he was holding it, last week said he was kind of holding it. But
it's out of the bag now. Might as well run it.
Yeah, it's out now.
They had big Michael Dennison at the sniffer position. He was creating a lot of holes. So Beaufort did a really good job running the ball. It was just a great game to watch.
Yeah, they missed him last week. They still put up 45, but he's a big piece out there. He's a nice guy to have out there in front of it.
Yeah, and I think the difference was the making the tackles. There's a lot of times where I know Beaufort's O-line, we talk about the running Casey Fields all the time, and you got to give credit to the O-line when it's due. But I think tonight was like the first time I've seen like the O-line kind of get some work kind of handed to them, because they got Gilbert got in the backfield a lot, but they were able to, Casey and Caleb were able to break tackles. The backfield, there's a couple times where we thought they were stopped dead to rights, 5 yards deep in the backfield, and they break the tackle and scramble. And even if they only got 2 or 3 yards just to get back to the line instead of taking a loss, I think that was a big difference versus Beaufort High's defense, going against, those guys in the backfield. And they had a big back that I'm forgetting his name now, but he's listed at 6'2", 226 on the roster. What's that running back? He's a freaking monster, number 25. Yeah, this is a huge guy. And, they were able to, at first he was kind of running it kind of heavy, and then the next thing they started rallying to the ball and kind of really taking them down and just kind of hitting them whenever they could hit them any kind of ways. And so that was the big difference. It's just making those tackles in the backfield when you could versus Gilbert kind of letting Casey and Caleb kind of get free when they've had them dead to rights in the backfield.
That's Jaden Allen Hendricks.
Yep.
Yeah, that's his name, Allen Hendricks. And the other guy was alias Graham Berry or something like
Woodbury.
that. Woodbury, yeah.
Yeah. That was they both went over 1,500 yards this year, so that was a really good duo. I was a little concerned about how Beaufort's defense could handle that, but passed the test once again. They saw run and gun last week, and they saw a two-headed monster out of the backfield this week, and they barely passed the test last week. They barely passed the test this week, but it's survived in advance time, so it doesn't really matter what the score is at the end, as long as you go into the next one. Gonna get, continue to get tougher. Do you guys have a final on Camden Dillon?
I think it was like 34-14.
Yeah, it was because it was 3-0 at half, so we were shocked because Camden and Dillon both two good teams, and then Camden really has been high scoring all year, scoring 50-point games. So when we looked at halftime, it was 3-0. I think everybody was shocked up in the press box, and then fourth quarter it was like 31-14, 31-17, something like that. In the fourth quarter, that's the final. Yeah,
31-14. So Dillon was kind of expected. We kind of expected, looking at the bracket, that's where it would have to go through, and going to have to go through the best in the lower state. That's the class. The last few years it has been kind of the class down here. Camden obviously last year was right there, but Dillon team that knocked out May River a couple years in a row when they were really strong. So people around here definitely know about the reputation of that program. They of course play Murderers Row. They're 13-0, and their out of conference was not easy, man. They played Wilson, Hartsville, Socastee, Marlboro County. So they've really passed some tests. Really quality football team, beat a really good Camden team tonight. So Buford definitely going to have their work cut out for them. An undefeated Dillon team, but I think two best teams in the lower state going at it for the lower state title. And that's what you really want, is to see the cream rise to the top. And I think Buford's definitely done enough to prove that they belong right there, and that 13-0, 12-1, whatever it is, these are the two best teams, and we're going to get to settle it on the field next week up in Dillon. So taking a trip up to see Pedro next week. Buford, go up to south of the border and take on Dillon. What do you guys make of this matchup? Javon, I know you've been kind of prepping for this all season long, so you've been really studying up on these teams a little bit, but what do you know about Dillon?
You know what? I've just been really excited, you know what I'm saying, and watching the viewership go up on my side. So this is the matchup I've been wanting to happen all year, Buford versus Dillon on my side. But Dillon is, like I said, they've been winning state championships multiple years. They're the class act. I think with Buford, I mean, they could also be undefeated as well. I think one of the moves to make Casey the starting running back after the Goose Creek game, maybe had he been the starter when they played Fort Dorchester, was this really their cream of the crop game on their schedule this year. That might have could have been a different story. And we both could have been looking at two undefeated teams all the way here at the lower state championship. So
Well, you also had at that time a brand new, fresh sophomore quarterback who was making his first start against Fort Dorchester. So throw Fort Dorchester in week six or 7 or 8, and let's see what happens. So yeah, I don't put too much stock in that. That was a long time ago, and this is a different team than played Fort Dorchester back in week 0, week 1, whatever it was. So yeah, I don't. The loss means nothing. That was kind of what I meant. Whether you're 13-0 or 12-1 at this point is kind of split hairs. They're both really good football teams. Neither one of them's lost since August.
Right.
I cannot avoid this Max Preps auto video, guys. Go ahead, Dylan.
I just think Buford, the defense, they always step up to the moment. When they have to get it done, they get it done, and it doesn't matter how. Gilbert ran the ball well. That's all really the success that Gilbert had tonight. They didn't really have a reason to pass, so I don't know, how that would have played out. But Gilbert ran the ball good. But when it came down to the crunch time and when it really mattered, guys were stepping up, and not just the big name guys. Obviously Colton, stepped up, but guys like Jack Sumner, Zach Talbert, Carter Bowersox, those guys step up, and that's what separates good teams and great teams. Good teams, you have the big name guys, but great teams, you have the big name guys, and then you have the other guys who don't really get talked about much, but they step up and they make the plays. So that's how I look at it. Now, Dillon's a good team. You've heard that name for as long as you can in 3A. Dillon and Camden, and Dillon put it to Camden tonight. So it's going to be a test, but like Buford had to go to North Myrtle Beach last year and play at Myrtle Beach. Yeah, or Myrtle Beach, yeah. And so, it's almost the same thing, really. You got to go a long way, but Buford has consistently shown they can get it done. And, I can see this game going either way, really. But, if they want to get it done, they can get it done.
Yeah, I like their chances in this one. Obviously it's going to be a battle, but we've learned not to count these guys out. And I think you nailed it on the head. They seem to be able to find a little bit of an extra gear, dig a little bit deeper when you need a play to get the job done. Somebody's always stepped up and made it. And we talked last week or at some point, I don't even know when, about making somebody else beat you, and if you have somebody else who can beat them, then you're going to be in good shape. And that's what Buford's defense seems to do such a good job of. There's always somebody else. It's always the next man up. There's always somebody there to make the play. They play really good team defense, assignment based football. Everybody's where they're supposed to be, and when you do it the way you drew it up, it tends to work out. So they're playing really good ball. Unfortunately, it came to an end for Estill tonight. They got off to a little bit of a sluggish start. Teams were just kind of trading punts, but Cross was, moving the ball and winning the field position battle. And then Cross, I mean, I was really incredibly impressed with that team, especially with just how hard they played. You guys obviously weren't there, so you can't chime in on this, but Sam and I were really just blown away by the speed with which they played and the ferocity with which they tackled. It was just like it was cold tonight. Like there was a tendency for guys to kind of let up a little bit almost, and just like you don't want to make contact if you don't have to when it's that cold, right, Dylan? And just like anticipating a hit because it's going to hurt a little bit more and maybe flinching and not making a catch and stuff, but not from Cross, man. Those guys were going a million miles an hour all night long, and they got some dudes. Let me shout out some names for Cross because they deserve it. Plus their fans. We got a video of this guy George Mack freestyle rapping at the concession stand line. That he was a Cross fan. It's amazing. We're gonna have to show it later on. The quarterback Tyler Mungin, he was great. Carmelo Montgomery, the running back, phenomenally fast dude, just blowing people away. Those are the two biggest standouts for Cross and on as far as skill players. But the man who really changed the game was Amonte McCray, the big offensive defensive lineman, number 55. I don't know where this guy's getting recruited, but somebody needs to go get him because he was just blowing everything up. He's playing right guard. They're running behind him all night, blowing everything up in the middle. And Estill had a chance to come back and get back in the game. Had a good drive going, and then they tried to sneak a little run inside, and McCray just jumped in the backfield, snatched the ball away, almost took the handoff inside the 10 and took the ball back. Estill ended up getting it back and coming down and scoring, but at that point they were really fighting the clock, and when Cross was able to put another one on the board, that put it away. But McCray with a huge play there that really changed the momentum, and he was the difference maker all night, so shout out to him. Estill, though, they fought really hard. I mean, they were down several times. We thought, like, all right, this is about to get out of hand. We're going to be getting out of here. And then all of a sudden it's 21-16 and they're right back in the game. And we thought they had a shot, and they just couldn't get a stop at the end. And then trying to press and Garvin threw a pick. And when they were trying to, trade scores. So tough way to go for them. But this Cross team, this is a team we talked on the preview show, Dylan. I don't remember if you remember what their record was last year, but it was rough. Yeah, it was not good. 2 wins, I think. And what a turnaround. 11-2 now and going on to the next one, onto the lower state finals. So really impressive. But Estill, the story there, obviously their last game for the Estill Gators, they'll merge now with Wade Hampton and become the Hampton County Hurricanes. And certainly, there's some sadness to that, some bittersweet, some tension too about just, not knowing what the future is going to hold, merging those two programs together. But, a night to celebrate for Estill, a season to celebrate, and a bunch of guys coming back, another shot next year as Hampton County Hurricanes. What do you guys have to say about that? I guess I don't have a segue.
I mean, very sad to see not the end of a season, but the end of an era.
Yeah.
I can't really tell you what it's like because I've never experienced something like that. But it's sad, but you kind of got to get excited because, Estill's got some dudes and Hampton's got some dudes. But how are they going to, are they going to get together? I think they will. But you just don't know. It's a lot of uncertainty, which is scary, but it also could be a good thing because, you could really make a super team, and I think they're competing in 2A, right?
Yeah, I believe so through the realignment, and then we'll see. But there's not a lot of students at Estill anyway, so it's not going to bump. Wade Hampton wasn't a huge 2A. I'm not certain it'll bump them to 3. They'll be right on that border.
Okay, so I mean, it's going to be exciting. I'm really excited to see how things really shape out because I've never in my lifetime I've never seen 2 schools merge. I know they have in the past, but I've never seen it. So that part's going to be exciting, but it's also going to be a little uncertainty there. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out, really.
Yeah, I mean, you've got returning starters at quarterback and running back, and all these positions for both schools, and it's like who's the returning starter, like so, and I think there's some, you don't know who the head coach is going to be yet, and so there's some uneasiness, like if it's my guy, then am I going to get a more fair shot than if it's the other guy? So I think there's definitely some concern that's fair there, but I hope for the sake of the kids that everybody rallies together and does right by everybody and sees an opportunity here to have a unified front representing Hampton County and go show what Hampton County can do as one. So they're going to go lick their wounds right now and definitely grieve the Estill Gators for a little while before they start getting excited about being Hampton County Hurricanes, I'm sure. But once those workouts, spring ball rolls around and summer workouts, you start getting the bug. I think everybody's going to come together and be ready to go play some football and see what they can do. All right, guys. Well, that's all we've got for tonight. Just the two games. I have not had time to process any video or anything. We did show you the Colton Ferry's incredible return for a touchdown that turned everything for Beaufort. And we'll be back tomorrow night to wrap up two more for you because we got the Skeeza State Championships tomorrow. Got Thomas Hayward at 1 o'clock against Lee Academy. And then at 4:30, it'll be Carleton Prep against Williamsburg Academy. And then we'll pack it up and come on home and go live with you. Not sure what time yet. We'll talk that through, but probably a little bit earlier, probably like 9 o'clock or something like that. We'll go live and break down those two Skeeza State Championship games and try to get some guests on here to help us do it. So thank you very much, Javon, for jumping in with us. Thanks, Dylan.
No problem.
Wes, and make sure he's doing all right as he gets his Beaufort stuff together. But we'll see you tomorrow night. For Dylan Price and Javon Livingston, I'm Justin Jarrett. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, go Lowco.